So, under the current circumstances, we are not in January yet, so still Momo. But when we get when we get into January, people are those who will be sending in momos will start thinking twice. This whole idea of trying to target the informal sector. But before we even get into that particular conversation, listen to what the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta said about e-levy.
After considerable deliberation, government has decided to place a levy on all electronic transactions to widen the tax net and rope in the informal sector. This shall be known as the Electronic Transaction Levy or e-levy.
E-levy for short, and that's what we are faced with.
I mean, it's understandable that they would want to tax the financial services sector because it's one of the most profitable. Mm-hmm. But like you say, if it's going to affect financial inclusion and people are not going to transact businesses, then how are you going to make the money that you anticipate?
And a few lessons will come to mind. And I've been reading lessons from Kenya, lessons from Uganda and Malawi. In Malawi, for instance, they abandoned it totally. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go to Uganda, when they started the internet social media tax, it led to a decline in those who were using the services. In Uganda also, they had to review downwards their mobile money tax from 1% to 0.5% because people were moving away from using mobile money. And so while it may be a booming sector now, I mean, we're told there were transactions about 560 billion Ghana cedis last year. Now, while it may sound like a booming sector, and so all things being equal, if it is to hit 600 billion this year, you're looking at accruing almost 10 billion on the average if these transactions are sent. I mean, if people send these monies.
Yeah.
But there's a tendency that people would start moving away from it.
Exactly.
Because then they have to pay more. And if they have to pay more, mind you, the service charge of 1% is still there.
Yes.
And so the 1.75% is adding to the 1%. That becomes 2.75%. That is a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's a test. Let's see if
it's a test. We'd see. We've seen in the past, taxes being implemented and abolished. Yeah. We've seen that. We saw the luxury tax. We saw an increase in the CST being and also being reversed. I don't know what is going to happen, but talking about even the informal sector, we're told that the transfers of about 100 Ghana cedis daily will not be taxed. The question is, who are those who transfer more? Is it the informal sector or the formal sector? We'll get answers to these here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. And this morning also, I'll be telling you what's happening at our toll booth because the Roads and Highways Ministry has issued a statement. They say, do not collect. But is that the way to go? Should government be resorting to Parliament for the abolishing of the road tolls, or they just need a statement to do that? Stay with us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Time now for the Joy Business Report with Darryl Kwao.
Coming up this morning, government insists proposed revenue measures outlined in next year's budget will help address mobilization challenges. Meanwhile, the 1.75% electronic levy on transactions announced by the finance minister has been described as a setback to government's financial inclusion agenda. We hear from a digital payment expert and a finance lecturer. And the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association welcomes government's policy prescriptions for agriculture and the poultry industry, but wanted the reversal of the benchmark value policy to have affected poultry imports. We've got details coming up. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Government has assured that the proposed revenue measures outlined in next year's budget will help address mobilization challenges. The country has in recent times struggled to raise the required revenue to finance government's expenditure, leading to concerns about recent policy measures proposed to address the revenue situation. But Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edubwai, insists things are going to change with the new tax measures, which include the e-levy.
Collection implementation has been problematic because we've never had the infrastructure to enforce the collection mechanism. You ain't going to the Western countries. They are able to collect taxes because everybody is known, everybody has a national ID, everybody has a social security number, and so they can use the traditional methods to collect. However, in our case, we don't. So if you want to do your traditional personal income tax and so forth and so on, it's very hard to reach a lot of people because the informal economy is huge. However, with an e-levy, everybody has a mobile phone, everybody has access to the internet or uses, one of these payment platforms. So you circumvent or you leapfrog that need for that kind of infrastructure that the Western countries have to be able to enforce your taxes and use a digital platform which actually allows you to be able to do this without the need for putting in place any additional major infrastructure.
That was Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edubwai. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has introduced fresh revenue measures which include introduction of new taxes, extending some tax reliefs and removing some taxes as well. Now, some finance professionals and digital payment experts have described the imposition of the 1.75% levy on all electronic transactions as a setback to government's financial inclusion agenda. The levy will affect mobile money transactions, electronic banking transactions, including remittances. The experts are concerned this levy will push some people to return to the non-banking system for transactions. First, let's hear from Ebenezer Yali, who is a digital payment expert.
The new 1.75% proposed tax on all electronic transactions has generated some level of feedback, which clearly shows that it will have an effect on our drive as a country towards our financial inclusion objectives, as well as affect the volume of transactions on electronic payment platforms. Now, this new tax, if implemented, would actually come inside that consumers would actually have to bear the cost. And you'd realize that for all these services in respect of mobile money payments, for such services on peer-to-peer transfers, as well as merchant payments, probably rolling in the new interoperability platform, bank transfers rather on GIPS Instant Pay platform, as well as merchant payment, the fee or the cost will be borne by the sender, while for inward remittances, the fee will be borne by the recipient.
Head of Finance at the Valley View University, Dr. Williams Prepara, wants government to come clear on the levy.
Government must come again on to give more clarity on the e-levy. And because government have stated that all electronic transactions are going to be taxed at 1.75. For me, the problem is at what base is government going to tax the 1.75 as the e-levy tax, especially when it comes to the bank transfers, because what it means that currently all transactions in the banking industry are done on electronic means, which means that any movement of funds within the banking system will suffer the 1.75%, which to me is going to be a major problem, which is going to affect the inclusion of getting people to bank.
You heard Dr. Williams Prepara, who is head of finance at the Valley View University. The Trade Ministry is expected to hold a crucial meeting with the leadership of the Ghana Union of Traders Association over the 50% and 30% benchmark values, which government has just reversed in the 2022 budget. Confirming this to Joy Business, President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, explained that this meeting will be factored into discussions ahead of the post-budget debate in Parliament.
Already, I've been in lengthy talk just after the budget with the Deputy Minister of Trade responsible for our sector, trading, and she has indicated that she is going to meet with us ASAP to start this engagement. And so we are not joking. We wouldn't just sit down for anything to be imposed on us, never. When we reverse the benchmark value, duty is going to go up. Already the final consumer is overburdened. They are not buying. The turnover is not there. So if we increase again, the port might be empty.
Dr. Joseph Obeng is president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. We have some reaction from the agric sector to the 2022 budget statement. The Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association has welcomed government's policy prescriptions for the agric sector. However, it was hoping the reversal of the benchmark value policy on some items would have affected imports of poultry products. President of the association, Michael Nyakwampem, tells Joy Business that the current price of raw materials for poultry feed is also expensive, and therefore government should support the industry to bring down the prices.
In the budget, it stated that government distributed about 144,000 broilers and 100,000 layer checks to farmers and intends to resuscitate the broiler revitalization project that was in effect put on hold because of COVID. We'll be glad if that will be done, because I would have to get these things going so that we can be self-sufficient. But the other side that we're a bit worried is that as you bring in this 5 million birds per year, how are we looking at the cost of the raw materials that go into the feeding of the birds? So it's one area that we are looking at. We hope that a lot of attention will be given to.
Michael Nyakwampem is president of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association. In other news this morning, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust (NET) has charged its top management, departmental heads, as well as area and branch managers to do more to ensure that many more of the working population are enrolled on the pension scheme. Despite the 56-year existence of the trust, only about 1.7 million people are active members. The trust wants the top management, department heads, amongst others, to reorient their mindsets and change the approach to the business. Laurette Koko-Otre is Deputy Director General of Operations and Benefits at NET.
This initiative has generated an amount of 186 million in savings for the trust as of November of this year. Additionally, the pensioners desk that was set up at the various branches has also yielded tremendous results, whereby concerns and requests from pensioners are promptly addressed, and this resonates with our mantra that we deliver on our promise. So what's in store for 2022? The COVID-19 pandemic forced employers to work remotely, and we were not an exception. As an institution, we have to assess the impact that the pandemic had on our operations and adopt ways to mitigate.
You had Deputy Director General Operations and Benefits at SNIT, Laurette Koko-Otre. And that's it for the Joy Business Report this morning. Let's check the markets for you before we go. On the currency market, the dollar going for 6 cedis 26 pesos. The British pound is selling at 8 cedis 40 pesos. The euro going for 7 cedis 17 pesos. On the commodity market, crude oil selling this morning at $80 a cent a barrel. Also, gold lost $88 to trade at $1,866.60 an ounce, and cocoa gained $15 to trade at $2,568 a ton. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for listening. It's back to Kojo Yankson with more of the Super Morning Show. He is typing, so I'm trying to figure out.
I have typed
the budget presentation.
Oh no, it's not budget related. We can't make everything about the budget like that. Hey, then we won't breathe.
Or some people are saying it's going to be a difficult year next year, so maybe something to get them, positive minded.
So this would definitely help.